Hi, I am Tazeen Jafar. I am a professor of health services systems research at Duke-NUS Medical School in Singapore and at Duke Global Health Institute in Duke University. I'm a community trialist, especially in hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and kidney disease, and a consultant nephrologist. I'm also the council member of International Society of Hypertension and chair the ISH Global Partnerships Committee. I will just very briefly talk to you, the early career researchers, on constructing a conference abstract, which is very relevant to our upcoming ISH biennial meeting that we're going to be having next year. So just to chat on the importance of submitting writing the abstract and submitting it, it's important to underscore that writing a well-written abstract and effectively managing the submission process both are extremely important steps and critical steps for researchers, especially those who are at an early stages of their careers. An abstract in of itself serves, I think you can look at it as a gateway to showcasing one's work in a scientific community. And its quality can significantly impact the visibility and the reception of the research that one's doing. Then publishing the abstract actually comes with several advantages, the foremost being the opportunity to engage with wider scientific community and receiving valuable feedback. When you go to the meeting, you meet with a number of people from various disciplines. And by putting your work out there, in the form of an abstract, you not only demonstrate your active participation in the field, but you also invite the constructive criticism from peers and from experts in similar or interdisciplinary domains. And this early engagement can then help you refine your research approach, potentially offering fresh perspectives and ultimately enhancing the overall quality of your work, which then will help you at the time that you are ready to submit your research. It's also important to underscore that submitting an abstract necessitates a comprehensive understanding of the requirements of the evaluation process. So when you submit an abstract, the scientific committee will review the abstract, and a number of us who serve on these committees, will have very limited time frame to go through these submissions. So it's crucial that your abstract is concise, it's informative, and it's impactful. And therefore, you really need to clearly outline the objectives, the background, the methodology, results, and interpretation of your research. And it's a good idea to follow generally wherever you're submitting, there will be the outline will be shared with you that you follow these steps and covering the aspects that I've just mentioned, and you try and follow them. And then within that, it's really important to strike a balance between sufficient detail and avoiding unnecessary complexity. Thus, a clear and compelling title, which is succinctly reflects the essence of your research. It's fundamental. Try to stay away from stating the conclusion in the title, but it should be sort of compelling enough to capture the attention of the evaluator. So, and then within these, I think it's really also important that you do mention one of the things that I've often noticed when I'm evaluating the work is people sometimes do neglect to mention the sample size. They'll present and they'll give the results, but will not mention the sample size at the end within the tables or within the figures. So I think those are really important details to mention for your main results. State the relevant, either whether it's the p-value or the 95% confidence intervals. Furthermore, you highlight the significance of the novelty of your findings, and at the same time be candid about any limitations that are imperative. So demonstrating a thorough understanding of your work and the implication and generalizability can significantly bolster the credibility of your work. So you got to say what the strengths are. You got to say, for example, if you've got a large sample size or there's any innovative methodology, you got to underscore that because it enhances its merit and underscores its merit and its relevance. And then you acknowledge the limitations of your study and which will showcase that you know what, and you're being very transparent. And it also reflects how that you're pretty mature about it, and you know you've got a nuanced understanding of the research process, because no research is without limitations. So you don't list the whole limitations in an abstract, but the key one line, and that gets going to tell you that, gee, yeah, I'm open, I'm a researcher, I know what this is all about. And there have got to be some. So I think, again, like I'm saying, strike a balance, state the key findings, say the things that are going to catch the attention, whatever your primary objective are. If this is a hypothesis driven, try to say that if you can within the word count. You got to stay within the word count. And it's really an art. Writing, it's science and it's an art. And then within that, I think beyond the writing process, it's really important to manage the submission timeline. And within that, you got to collaborate with your co-authors. Often you'll have a mentor and your co-author. You got to seek that feedback, and don't do this like within 2 days before the submission. Give yourself ample time. You got to be fair to yourself. You got to be fair to others. You got to seek their feedback. And when you get that feedback, incorporate it, send it back to them. And all of that takes a little time. And that way, the piece that you're going to have is going to have a very high quality piece. So leave ample time for any unforeseen obstacles, and adhering to that, whatever the stipulated word count is. Formatting guidelines will be equally important. And then, finally, you've got to acknowledge the funding source. These are things that we tend to, gee, I've done this, and oh my God, I didn't acknowledge so make sure if you've got time, you will, those last things is going to be icing on the cake. So you will do all of that. And sometimes you've got to obtain approvals if you use somebody else's data set, if you've done, so there may be those things that you're not even thinking about. And sometimes, it requires your co-authors to register onto the site. So these things can cause hindrance at the last minute and unforeseen things. And therefore, if when those things are in time before, it just demonstrates that you're professional about it, and it's due diligence, and again will enhance some timely submission, the credibility of your work. And again, finally, I would say, taking advantage of the opportunities that are offered by funding opportunities, for example, by International Society for Hypertension. Sometimes there are travel supports for young investigators. Again, if you're going to put in a good piece, it might get selected for awards, and so put in the effort, and it's good. And those kinds of awards will take you again for in your future, will always come in and will say, gee, oh yeah, at that stage I got this award. Will be useful for promotion, will be useful for positions that you will get later in your career. So participating in such events is not only facilitating networking, but also recognition, like I'm saying, within the scientific community. You're opening door for future collaborations and opportunities. Therefore, again, I would encourage you to actively engage in the abstract submission process, and you're aligned with your esteemed institution, and to pave the way for a very promising career in the scientific realm. And the ISH look forward to receiving scientific abstracts of your very exciting work. And feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions. And good luck. Okay, bye-bye.